throughout whatever, just recognize we the same team and we ain't never changing. I promise to give the same thing.
You're the one I hope for, you're the one I dreamed of. Love manifested, perfectly imperfect. You're the one I prayed for. God make good on this delivery. It's crazy that you don't see what I see when I see you. You're the one I hope for, you're the one I dreamed of. Love manifested, perfectly imperfect. You're the one I prayed for. God make good on this delivery. It's crazy that you don't see what I see when I see you. Every dream I ever had came true when I saw you. Said every dream I ever had came true when I saw you. When I saw you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Faika podcast. You were listening to the ever so talented and beautiful and just everything
Man, that song was
positive. That's an amazing song.
Jazzy.
And she's like, oh, we did it in a living room.
Yeah.
Oh
Really?
my gosh.
We were in Leone at one of our friends' house. It was me and Seth, and we were in a living room with a mic. And he's really good. Seth is like an up and coming, well, not even up and coming. He's been rapping for a long time. But
Yeah.
he's a young Samoan rapper who's just out there. He's amazing.
Beautiful.
You are amazing. I love your voice. So here we are. You are listening to the Faika podcast. We have the talented, ever so beautiful Dacia,
Dacia.
Dacia,
Yes.
AfroTeine in the house.
In the house.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming down. So those who don't know who you are and have been living under a rock, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Dacia. I also go by AfroTeine. I'm a Black and Samoan woman. I lived in American Samoa for about 5 years, and this is my second year back home in California. I'm a poet, a singer, a writer.
Yes.
And I just launched my my own podcast.
Yes.
Called The Real Tautala.
Love it.
And I just basically work to decolonize our Pacifica identities by sharing stories either from the island or sharing my own stories and just exposing people to the fact that like the Pacific is so vast and there's so many different types of people in there, but we have so much that we need to like break down before we could build up.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And you where are you living now? In the Bay Area?
I'm in the Bay now. I'm in Santa Clara, San Jose. So
yeah,
I will be here
till forever. I've been like just fangirl since maybe 3 or 4 years ago. You put the video out.
Yeah.
American Samoa. What was that piece called? It's about the child molesting that is going on in Samoa and being a survivor of child sexual abuse. That wowed me because nobody has talked about it so open and so direct, and to call our people out like in the face, and everything you said, that it was just so true.
It was.
What inspired you to do that?
It was when I was working at ASCC, I had time to like read the newspaper there. And every day was a different story about someone being abused, someone being, violated, and then people getting a slap on the wrist for it. Right. And my breaking point came when I read a story about a little girl that went to school and told her teacher that she was abused, that her father or stepfather was abusing her. The teacher told her to go back home, and they talked with the parents, and the mom told the daughter not to say anything.
Of course.
And it just kept going on and on. Like, the girl had to advocate for herself so much. So I was sitting in my room, and I just flipped on the camera phone and I just ranted. It was just a rant. The rant spread, and then the next day I found out that almost everyone I had made friends with on the island had a similar story. Yeah. And it was just so discouraging that we're raising a generation of abused people who who either go on living with this PTSD or this whole like survivor mentality, or they become abusers themselves.
Exactly.
Because that's their relationship with sex, or that's their relationship with how they get to know each other in a physical way.
Right.
And I was just broken. Like my heart's always been broken for that population. Because it's just, if we are all family, if we're all Ainga, then we would do whatever it takes for our family and our Ainga. But when it comes to those things, it's kind of swept under the rug, but it festers. Yes. And I was just so sad that every person that I had made friends with that were in my close circle were like, hey sis, I felt what you said last night because this had happened to me. Right. But what was funny was I found out that I was reported to Homeland Security.
For what?
Oh my God. They were like, oh, what she's saying is wrong. And
my God.
Like, oh, she's disgracing the island. And I was just like, okay, but I'm not saying anything new.
Right.
I'm saying everything everyone knows.
But how does the disgracing the island report it to Homeland Security? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's wild.
I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but like people told me I got reported to Homeland Security, and Homeland Security was like, okay, so what?
Right. A social issue. Your family should handle that. I think that one of the sad things about the abuse and with the story that you're talking about with somebody who goes to a person in a position of trust, a teacher, right? Because you'll have that happen where a child will be abused and they'll go to a trusted person, exactly, right. And when that's not taken care of, and they're not championed, and their cause isn't advocated for, it's like they're abused a second time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if I go to my parent and I say, this person's hurting me, help me. And my parent says, look, maybe you did something, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's your fault, something like that.
What did you do?
But they don't do anything about it. Then I feel like, well, I got abused by person A. Mm-hmm. Right. Then I went to person B for help, who I should be able to trust and make sure that they keep me safe. And they did nothing. It's like being abused a second time. Mm-hmm. You end up being...
What I really love about this story is it catapulted the issue that we needed to address. And it took somebody like you brave enough to even put that out there.
Exactly.
To start the dialogue.
Right.
Now,
right.
Those abusers or those people who are feeling a certain kind of way and uncomfortable.
Why?
They need to be educated. Yeah. And they themselves might have been abused or the abuser. Mm-hmm. So it was your light that really brought it to the forefront. Yeah. And so you are now the advocate for these people who unfortunately, like Carl was saying, you trusted. You know, how are you going to tell a teacher and they're going to
tell you to go back?
Right. So you are now, and thank God for that. Maybe that's part of your journey to really educating, amongst other things, amongst your talent, your poetry, your fashion. This is something else that really needs to be addressed. And I think when Naki was saying that she was so excited that we were going to have you on the show, it's because of your voice. That this issue and Homeland Security, really, you just dropped a bomb. That's what it was, you know.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
Well, the good people of Homeland Security didn't escalate it or anything. Right. It was just funny to be
That's
reported.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, so what are you gonna do? Deport me to my
where?
Village? Where are you going? Yeah. But like, I'm one of many voices. There are plenty of good people on the island who are doing great work. Yeah. There's Alliance. There's Ipu Lafiti is a great advocate. She's writing editorials in Samoan News and all the other news outlets there, just outing people and certain behaviors that are just swept under the rug. But I don't know. I think the main thing, what you said, is people need to be educated. But
Right.
when the government says that they don't want to put sex education in the schools, or they're afraid that it teaches people to have sex, which is not true
the
at all.
case.
Right.
No.
And even Independent Samoa, their head of their Ministry of Education also turned down having a comprehensive sex education in schools.
And I don't want people to take this wrong, but religion plays a very big part of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying not to go to church, but they put up that wall sometimes because of the fear factor behind that. So
it's the culture, but religion is such a strong part of our culture. Then that becomes a
and it
piece
should be separated.
Right.
Seriously, it is. A lot of people are mistakenly thinking religion is our culture.
Yeah.
And we need to really put a wall up between that so that people can become more educated to address these sexual.
I think that
type
a lot of
issues.
that's going to come down to education of the church, right? Like
Right.
You had
Exactly.
that. You had your oleo with
the
in that
faith
sense,
leaders
like
in our
let's
community.
educate the church. But I think that there's always needs to be this. I think this accentuates several points. One, freedom of speech, right? Because there was almost a push for censorship just on a speech, just on your rant, where people are like, this is dangerous to the country. I should go to Homeland Security, or somehow she should be quelled. She should be silenced.
Right.
So the right to free speech allows that, because you need people like you that are going to push that onto the table. Like, it may be uncomfortable, it may be things that people don't want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to have my own voice so that it does get spoken about. So I think freedom of speech is a huge issue here. The second is, how do you break the cycle? I mean, because now what we're seeing is there's people that have been abused, haven't, as a whole, been able to have their issues addressed. They've been silenced. Some of them have risen above it, but those are probably the few, right? The many are probably ones that haven't had a voice and haven't been able to have some place to go. How do we change that? What do you think the avenue is for that?
I really do believe that speaking more about it will help normalize the feelings.
Discussion.
Yeah, because a lot of people silo themselves off, and they're so isolated, they think it's only happening to them. But once you make it known that you're one of many, there is strength in numbers in that. And a lot more people are speaking out and reporting more and being more adamant about advocating for their own, not only their physical health, but their mental health. And that's why I love the mental health movement that's happening right now, because a lot of abusers or those who have been abused have not had time to mourn their innocence. They just get abused and then go on with the day. And it's like, okay, so you're carrying all this weight on your back, and then you have the stress of work and life, and if you have kids, worrying about your kids. And without seeking counseling or knowing someone who could just help you suss out what is yours and what isn't yours, like that is powerful. That's why I love mental health workers, especially Pacifica mental health workers. So we give our Pacific Islanders a space to vent and to share their experiences, and then begin the cycle of like recovering from that. But first we have to mourn the innocence that's lost. Without mourning and carrying on, you're just covering it up. And
oh my God, that's
like a band-aid, right?
I've always believed in the saying, buried feelings never die. So you can bury them, but they're not going away until you mourn, until you deal with it, until you process through it. It's never going to go away. And it'll manifest itself in horrible ways. I think, then how would you not have trust issues if you're more likely to be molested by somebody close to the family, somebody that you trust? So there's already a trust issue there, because somebody that you see your parents trust or you trust abuse you, and then you have somebody that you trust to go to for help, and then that doesn't help. So now you've got all these trust issues that are just going to continue on with you. And you made a good point. Like, then life's hard enough, job, family, all these kind of things. And then you're carrying all this stuff with you. That's a hard,
how were you able
road
to
go.
process all of that?
For me, my experience with like sexual abuse actually came later. It wasn't it wasn't the fact that I was like abused. It was just like the boyfriends I would get with.
Right.
Like my boyfriend in Samoa was just very adamant, like trying to coerce or trying to like shame people. Oh, if you don't sleep with me, then you don't love me.
Yeah.
Like those types of I had to deal with those kinds of abuse.
Yeah.
I'm a tall stature, big woman. Like, look.
Okay.
Don't fuck with me.
If it comes to
down
me
to
being
it.
Tyson, we can be Tyson. But it's just for me, I had to process those things. Like, I had to really say, you know, what is my value? And in this relationship, is my value the same as yours or less than yours? And when I found myself in relationships where I was devalued, I'd get out, because it was just like, okay, we're the same people. We cannot have this hierarchy. Oh, because you're a man or because you're my boyfriend, that all of a sudden I have to submit to some standard that goes against my own self-interest. And for parents, I urge parents, like, boundaries. You have to create boundaries, even if it's with your grandparents, even if it's with your uncle or your cousin. Yes. And then the education, you have to talk to your kids, like, what's good touch, what's bad touch.
Right.
Yeah.
Because kids don't have that understanding and they're warned from strangers. They never suspect the person closest to you. And for me, I keep strong boundaries with my family members, and I just keep a watch out on my nephews and nieces. Like, I just stay like a surveillance.
So do you think that movement is happening now in Samoa? Do you think because of the outpouring of talking about it, being in the paper, that it's slowly moving towards healing, or at least talking about it? Because when I was there last, there's only one nonprofit that is doing that kind of work.
But is it still just Alliance?
It's Alliance is you know, they've advocated for the LGBT community, for everything,
domestic violence.
But are we moving towards healing and talking about that in Samoa, or is it still a subject that people are like, well, love, you know?
I think people are getting tired of it. It's getting to the point where it's like, enough is enough. I see way more people talking about it, which is so encouraging.
Awesome, yeah.
People need to know that most of the Samoan Islands is comprised of younger folks.
Yeah.
So as these older folks, you know, go on and meet their maker and retire from certain positions, we're getting in younger folks who are now being exposed to the fact that this isn't right, and they're getting more politically inclined. Like, there's because of the Jonathan Von Enne thing, him, you know, having an altercation with his wife, or domestic abuse with his wife, a bunch of people got on the road with some signs and said, you know, they're against domestic violence and they wanted this person out. And so you see more protesting. Samoans are very much docile people. Like, we get stereotyped as these angry fighting. No, we are like the kindest, sweetest.
I know.
but we very rarely speak truth to power in terms of like going against our leaders, because we like to be seen as supportive. But when you see people out on the road with signs, things are changing.
And that's been happening more often lately. Because I'm always on social media, but I always see in Samoa there's people now protesting, and I was like, you've never seen that. Like even 10 years ago, you didn't see that.
We were interviewed in Samoa, not American Samoa, and after the interview, because you know, my piece, of course, was about the LGBTQ community. The host then says to me after, she goes, "Now, I love the work that you guys are doing, but be careful when you're out there, because there are people who don't agree." And I'm like, "Am I gonna get jumped by people?" And she says, "Just say, you know, be careful, follow." And I'm like, "Oh hell no!" But you know, so it's happening. They're aware of it, and I think it's because of voices like you and me, and you know, that we are educating our people to no longer follow those subjects, you know. Right.
And we have a history of protesting, right? What was the Mao movement?
Yes.
My saying is, don't make the Mao ma'imau.
Right.
Exactly.
Very good.
Don't
Yes.
waste
Okay, that's a
Don't
t-shirt.
waste it. That is a T-shirt.
That's
Okay,
copyrighted.
That's
That's AfroTeine.
No,
that
that's
is
really-
a T-shirt.
Don't make the ma'imau.
Oh my God, that's so
use
good.
your voice.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
our leaders back in the day were speaking against the
Overtaking
the
of-
overtaking of their land, why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you protest the overtaking of your family, the overtaking of your
Body
home?
and this-
Like, if our children really are our future, then our future looks abused as hell.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah.
And we're so quiet, and we're, so I really admire people who are out on the streets with signs, who are constantly talking on social media, constantly talking in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting out there. And yeah, it may not be a subject we want to promote, but every island, every country has their issues.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, but imagine if every island, every country dealt with their own issues.
Yeah.
It'd be a better place. But
Yeah.
the more we sweep it under the rug,
Yeah.
well,
I
it's just gonna
can't.
be there.
I can't believe like this day and time that's still happening, because I still hear stories from girls, but my mom just said, let it go, we're just gonna sweep, basically sweep. But now, today in 2019, we're still doing this to our kids. I can't stand that. I guess
But I think, to be the devil's advocate, I think a lot more people are coming out. It's almost like being like, I'm not going to take this shit no more.
Yeah.
There are people who are going to advocate for me. There are services that I can go to.
Yeah.
So uncle, auntie, whoever's doing the abusing, they're starting to be afraid, because no longer is the voices are being silent, but it's still happening. I mean, I'll say that, but I think because of the work that we're all doing, that more people are empowered to have that voice. And 20, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have. They would have lived with that pain.
I think that the issue now is that it seems like it's happening more because people are more comfortable
are
coming
talking
forward.
about
Yeah.
it. That's
You
right.
know what I mean? Because that's usually what these kind of things do. The movements become where you were talking about. It's more normal. Like, it's more normal for me to be able to talk about it. It's still, taboo, but it's not as taboo as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So now there's people that are coming forward and saying, hey, no, I don't feel like, I'm the only one in my classroom because we're talking about it. I'm going to raise my hand and say something. But a lot of it has to do with nobody wants to be first and nobody wants to be alone, right? So if I'm first and I'm alone to stand up and raise my hand and say, hey, this happened to me, man, that's a big bridge to jump off of. If I've seen it happen like 6-7 times and, hey, I remember, she did this and he did this, and well, now I'm more likely to come forward. But being first and being alone, that is a tough place to be.
Yeah.
Right. I do talk about like reporting and
Yes.
getting out there like it's easy.
Yeah,
It is
totally.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Totally
It is
difficult.
difficult because the family will make you reassess. Oh, are you really going to report your family?
And
Are
make
you
us
really
look,
going to
yeah.
put our name out there?
In shame. I think that's how they get everybody is,
Yep.
oh, you're going to embarrass us. Oh my God, this didn't happen to us. This happened to me. You know what I mean? But we put that on our kids too.
Yeah.
We still to this day. And Pacific Islanders, I think Samoans, when we went to Samoa, status. We are
that
so
was a really
status driven.
driven,
It
yeah.
is crazy. So everything, we don't want to put shame on our family.
I'm a proponent of using shame. Like, I don't mind using shame
Right.
as long as it's well placed.
Right.
Most of the time when we use shame, it's ill placed,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it starts. When that whole Find Anything came out, the shame was put on the wife,
Woman, yeah.
and the sister, and I was just like, okay. But this
Yeah.
man is the head of the Department of Youth and Women Affairs.
Yes.
That is funded by a domestic violence grant.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be helping and enriching women, and you
And
have an
he's-
issue with the wife.
I know.
And it was just so
so
odd.
backwards.
It's
It was
so
just so
odd.
backwards.
We always put the shame on the
on the
victim.
woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's
yes.
so true.
And it's just it's backwards. So, but when you do put the shame where it was, and people were speaking out against that director, then everyone was like, "Oh, well, you're being too mean," and Jesus forgives. I was like, Jesus had to be had to be nailed to a cross for forgiveness.
Yes, thank you.
What cross are we gonna nail this man to?
Yeah.
For our forgiveness, we cannot. we cannot treat forgiveness like this insurance policy just in case you wreck somebody's home or you abuse someone. Oh, we'll just throw out the forgiveness card. Like, forgiveness requires accountability and reconciliation. You can't just jump straight to reconciliation without accountability.
Being accountable for what you've done.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll ever go back to Samoa to continue the advocacy work that you obviously were known for in the beginning, or do you think you're more helpful here by educating people to talk about those issues back home?
That's a good question. When I was in American Samoa, I love the fight. I love it. Yeah. I love the advocacy. I love the protesting. I love all those things. But I wasn't being taken care of financially because the economic structure in the island was very hard to be in.
Right.
And then now you're giving your time, and then your help, because I was coaching too. Yeah. And I didn't make anything coaching. Oh, so I spent more money than I was getting.
Yeah, exactly.
And my mom was at St. Teresa, and I was helping give free tutoring sessions to kids and nice. Just tutoring and coaching and working and trying to pay bills. I got burnt out.
Yeah.
And the island started to get smaller and smaller. Yeah. You were being trapped in a sunset, like these beautiful sunset and stars, and it became a prison. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I got to get out. Yeah. And so my grandfather passed away, and I had to reassess, okay, so why am I really here now?
Right.
And it seemed like American Samoa was taking more from me than I was getting from it. So it wasn't. So, I'm taking this time now to just revive myself and just
good for you.
Either replenish my bank account and then go back. Anybody who wants to go to Samoa and American Samoa, stack first and then go, so you don't have to deal with financial issues. But if you're not used to getting paid $7 to $11 an hour, and you're in an office in a high position, then I would not recommend you to lean on what you might get paid on the island. It's minimum wage is $5.75.
It's horrible.
Still?
Yeah.
Oh
man.
It's the federal minimum wage. Yeah. It's like in California, you're used to, there's places here where minimum wage is $13. Right. But the federal minimum wage is way lower than California. I think that's kind of skewed for people that live in California, because you hear that and you're like, what? That was minimum wage 10 years, 12 years or whatever. But if you go by the federal minimum wage, it's way lower than California.
Oh, wow.
It is. And I feel for the people, because even when they try to rally for 50 cents, for a 50-cent raise, there was hell over that.
Like the tuna factories, right? When they were trying to raise their
just
wages.
By 50 cents. They are exploiting our people on the island. They make money with tuna, and yet they had to fight to get a 50-cent raise.
Dang.
And on top of that, there's so many taxes on food. Food is getting more expensive. Living there is getting more expensive, but the wage is still the same. So there has to be a real big reassessment economically. So my choice was basically on economics. Where was I gonna get paid more and live a
comfortable life?
Right.
Not even comfortable, just not be struggling paycheck to paycheck, or wondering which paycheck was going to go to the light bill and which paycheck to go to the lave.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole different story
right there.
That is a whole different story.
It's the life of an islander.
Do you want to take a break?
I got words.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Essence of Mana Family Night invites you to their free 12-week class designed to support adult family members, develop communication skills and tips leading to more love and nurturing family relations, free for the whole family. Classes start back up August 8th, 2019 from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. For more information and to register, please contact Nani Wilson at 650-243-4850. That's 650-243-4850. Or nwilson@aars.org. Samoan Solutions endeavors to maintain Fa'asamoa as a teaching tool and a means of uniting the Samoan people through cultural, educational, and community building events. Epi Amavai is the founder, and together with Fangamisa, they have grown this grassroots organization into a staple in the San Francisco Bay Area PI community. each year with forward-facing programs like Fangongo o Samoa, the Turkey Trot, and the Lumina'i Scholarship. We love and salute our sisters over at Samoan Solutions and thank them for supporting PBD through their wisdom and guidance. That's probably the best way for them to support us, is let us know some of the things that they've experienced as a growing nonprofit organization. So our next song is from our very own Puasa family, right? Tell us a little bit about Levy.
Levy is a Samoan young man out of Maui, and he has a new album out, and this is his song. Is it Girl or Boyfriend?
Boyfriend,
my favorite song. You're listening to the Faika Podcast. We'll be right back.
Just got a breath of noon. Feeling out like I can't stop thinking of you. Writing down all the ways that you make me feel. Writing down all the ways to make this real. She called me boyfriend, started laughing. Girl, I didn't even know me. Oh, my heart jumped. Felt like in love. If you saw her, you'd be thinking the same. Right now, I'm telling you, wishing there was something that I could do. Honey, make all your sweet dreams come true. You see, there's nothing I want more than you, yeah. And her taste so sweet, she got lips like the honeydew. She called me boyfriend, started laughing. Oh, I didn't even know me. Oh, my heart jumped, I felt like in love. If you saw her, you'd be thinking the same. Right now, you're perfect girl, yeah. How does my love feel? Oh, I can't wait for every breath she takes. Think of all the ways to make her long lasting love stays. Oh, I am spinning the world. I felt you're perfect girl, yeah. How does my love feel? I can't wait for every breath she takes. Think of all the ways to make her la 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 me do. Till my world is upside down because of you. So tell me your name and tell mine to you. There's no telling all the things you could get into. She called me boyfriend, started laughing. Oh, I didn't even know me. And oh, my heart jumped, I felt like in love. If you saw her, you'd be thinking the same. If you saw her, you'd be thinking the same. Right now, I'm telling you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Faika Podcast. That was Levy Puasa, Boyfriend. Go check out his music on SoundCloud. Follow in the studio this morning. We have Dacia. She goes by AfroTeine, and she is here where she has a podcast, The Real Tautala. Tell us a little bit about it and why you started. But it's awesome. I've listened to all your episodes. Love, love, love it.
So I started The Real Tautala because people were just saying, you need a podcast.
Yes.
Feeling out like I just got a breath of
noon. That's a great way to record your story.
Feeling out like I can't stop start thinking of you.
You pass on, or you just head
Writing down all the ways that you make me feel.
And so I just felt like it was a
Writing
good
down all the ways to make this
speak
real.
my mind on ideas that I
She
feel
called me
a lot of people
boyfriend.
can relate.
Started laughing.
My podcast has
Girl, I didn't even know.
So one is the big and beautiful truth.
Oh, my heart
One liner or
charm.
two liner of truth.
If I lie in love,
You can enrich your
if you
life or
saw her,
add
you'd be
something to your
thinking
life
the
or
same.
take out something.
Right now.
To just be a healthier person.
Telling you.
And it could range from like
The last one, because we were listening on the way in again,
I could do.
was the online dating.
okay, so
Make
that's
all
the
your
real
sweet
topic.
dreams
The
come
biggest truth would
true.
be like if it ain't broke,
See, there's
can't fix it.
nothing
We'll
I
talk
want
about how if
more
you're
than
looking at your
you,
brokenness,
yeah.
you can't heal from it.
And it tastes so
And
sweet,
then
she
the
could
real
lipstick
talk
the
about
honey
is where
do.
I just give you the real
She
talk
called me
on
boyfriend.
issues or things
Started
that we don't always talk
laughing.
about. And my
Oh, I
first episode was
didn't
online
even
dating. We all
know.
know our kids are online dating.
Oh, my heart charm. If I lie in
But
love,
because we don't talk about sex,
if you saw her,
I
you'd
do
be
tips
thinking
on
the same.
how you can pursue online dating,
Right now.
but from a smart perspective.
That was really good though, because a lot of my friends are online now because, like you said, we work, we're busy, we're doing this and this and that, and so a few of my girlfriends are online dating and are learning how to maneuver, and a couple of them have dropped out because it's so crazy and they don't understand, in the DM. But so I forwarded them your podcast, giving them, it was perfect.
I'm glad.
Everything that you were speaking on, I couldn't put it into words to tell them. I'm like, girl, you got to be careful. They're not going to listen to me say
Right.
that. They're just going to do what they want to do. So I sent them the podcast so they can listen to it. And then now she's back in, but
Good.
following your list. So
That's
that I
good.
love.
Yeah.
That is awesome. The next episode was on, if you don't have a job, but you're living with people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have a job, then the
Yes.
house becomes your job. And it just gives you
Yes.
some tips.
That is so true.
Okay.
I hope somebody at home listening.
Okay.
Get off that couch.
Get off that guy.
And
Yeah.
it just gives you things that you should probably do in your home because, islanders live.
I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
so Samoan for us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If you're not working, I like your food.
I know.
Right, right.
So it's just because we live with so many generations in one home. You'll live with your parents, your uncles, your cousins, all of the extended family in one home, and most likely more than one of them doesn't have a job.
Exactly.
So
Right.
if everyone knew, like if they were on the same page, that you don't have to pay towards rent, but you can help clean. You
Yes.
can help do
Have
things.
dinner ready when we get off work.
Yeah.
Yes. And then it also covers the fact that part of our culture encourages human trafficking.
Yeah.
Because it does because
Yes.
part of our tradition
Oh,
is to fly
God.
people over from Samoa,
And have
put them
them.
in our homes, and then we call them house
House
girls,
girls.
and house boys.
Yes.
And we treat them as if they are slaves, and we
Until
Second
they
class
escape.
citizens. Yes.
yeah, until they escape, and then we
We shame
demonize
them.
them, saying, "Oh, you came from Samoa, now you're
Yeah.
leaving, and we gave you a home, and you couldn't do these things." But it
Yeah.
was just like, no, we brought these people over to help,
To be our slaves.
and
And now.
yeah, and then it's just a lot because it's done
love
in
it.
American Samoa a lot. You'll have kids or people flown over from the island, and they tell their parents, they're coming to go to school, they're going to get a
Right.
good job, and then
Alelo.
send you money. And then when they come, they get their papers taken away, and they're made to just do the family
The house.
food and
Clean your house, take care of your kids.
while the kids are sitting there.
Sleep
Right.
with your man. No, that's another story.
That is another story. That
Or your
does
wife.
that does happen.
Mario, got any stories?
I've
Would you like to
heard-
share?
I've heard that has happened in several households.
There's a book out, and it's about a Filipino lady that was brought over, and it's titled like a slave in modern day America, and she was brought over with a debt, and she lived with another Filipino family and was essentially their slave
Until
for
that debt was paid, right?
no for until the the mother and father of the family, the patriarch and matriarch, passed away. I mean, she was part of that family the whole way, and so it was like 40 years.
Yeah, I think the son had written an article or
I think it was the son that wrote that, right?
It was like My Slave or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And he got backlash for it because he called the woman a slave, but was romanticizing the woman, like, oh, she was so kind, she made sure I was fed. I was like,
But you calling her a
slave.
Yeah.
She was forced to be
and
there,
she was
so.
forced. Where is she gonna go?
Yeah.
I seen
And
that.
romanticizing is a good way to put that, because you tried to put some feathery, cloudy words around it, and it's like, wait a minute, she can't leave, and she's working at your house. That's not
so
labor.
sad.
That's
Yeah.
slavery.
It's like people in the South saying, oh, well, slavery was, everybody had a job, everyone was fed.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
That's like my cousin who has house girls, and I was like, girl, you treating them like slaves. She's like, no, we put them up in the back of the house and I bring them
back of the
stuff. I
house.
was like, okay, all right, you're mistreating them.
Yeah.
But if that's all they know, like, sometimes the people that we bring over, like if they've been doing it there in Samoa and then that's all they know and they get sent here, like it's mental abuse kind of, because that's all they know. That's all they know. That's all they think their worth is to do that. So I think we gotta stop that.
Yeah. For real.
I'm not a big fan of having like kakuas. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just it's just one. It is a financial toll too, because if you're gonna have a person living in your home doing that, you are also responsible if they break any laws or get sick.
Right.
You have to pay for that. And then two, if it's not gonna be a relationship where you're like enriching the person so they could be independent, it is a form of abuse. Because it's like, why am I telling someone to do something I could do for myself? And those are the things. I mean, I can understand if it's an older person and they don't have kids around and they need someone to care for them. That's fine.
Right.
I think it works well. Not everyone who does it is abusive.
Yes.
There are great families out there that do
take care.
Right ways.
Yes, take care of them.
But for the most part, one, you're not even screening who you're bringing over sometimes.
I know.
So you're bringing over, you don't know who
A
you're
stranger.
Yeah,
You're bringing over literally a stranger.
A stranger from your other side of the family.
Right.
And then you don't know, like, when they're with your kids. Like,
what are they
what's
doing?
going on?
Yeah.
So it adds to that because, like, one of my friends said, they had someone flown over from Savai'i and they were living with them, and that was the person that abused her.
Oh, wow.
So it's just like people are just bouncing from here and there, but there's no checks, there's
No,
no background.
nothing.
So
Yeah.
it's something that we just have to be careful of. If we're gonna do it that way, and it's not a bad way to do things, but we have to really check ourselves and our intentions for bringing people over.
Right.
Yeah, because we think just because they're someone, they're okay. Oh, you're gonna vouch for them? Okay, then they must be good. I'll take her. Like it's like she's a piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll take her. I'll take her.
Yeah, it's help, right?
Yeah.
Free help, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, so the real Tautala. When is it once a week that you put something out?
I try to put something out once a week, usually like early Sunday, because I'm recording late at night Saturday. This week it's going to be late, so sometime Tuesday. But yeah, I'm going to be covering the colorism in the South Pacific, especially because of the whole
Hey Lala. We were talking about, last week we talked about how Kalo got up and spoke and how they played music over her and cut her off and this and that. And then this week we find out that they stripped her of her title.
Yes.
And then, like, if there's a book somewhere where they logged this, they took her name off and put the runner-up in. I was like, can you degrade her anymore? Like, that's more abuse. But I mean, not that she's fighting. So you're, it's not like it's gonna. But it's the Hey Lala 2019 is so not getting any kind of, like good press. And she's not getting any focus. Nothing. It should be on her really, but because of the committee. 2018, the real winner is not getting any kind of, none.
What are your views on pageants? What do you think, especially for our South Pacific pageants, because it's such a big production, and even in the Fa'afafine community, it's out there.
I prefer Fafafing it productions and pageants because they're just done so very well and so comprehensively, and you could tell there is a real camaraderie and competition. They just bring it. For the other pageants like the Miss Samoas and the Miss whatever it is, it's so westernized that I just don't. I don't see the point to it. In American Samoa, girls don't go up and be like, oh, I want to be Miss. No one, the organization has to actually go out to girls to ask them to participate. That's why we only have 3 or 4 participants.
And don't you find that a lot of times they use Afkasi girls or girls who are lighter, girls who happen to have that certain Western sort of look? Instead of really focusing on, our women are beautiful women, even without makeup, if you're going to go that beauty route, right? But I tend to see that a lot of times they're just like cookie cutter, lighter skinned women from America, right? That has a little culture behind them.
For the winners on our side, probably, maybe. I know that Mattel, I know the one that was previous to she was, I'm related to her, so she has that look though, and she's very beautiful, and she was just, but the reason why she won was she just was built for pageants. Because she danced in Hawaii, like she's used to presenting, she's used to the flow of things.
Come with it.
A lot of girls that are running have not been exposed to the pageant scene or what to do in pageants. It's not normalized. So when they get there, that is their very first time there. That's as if you took Steph Curry, who never played basketball in his life, and just threw him in a championship game and said, here, play. So that's what the kind of pressure these girls are under. But for me, I just don't like the structure of it. It doesn't. I'd rather see weaving contests. I'd rather see fashion battles. I'd rather see those things than pageants because they're basically fundraisers.
But the thing about it is, I've noticed with Pacific Islanders, we don't follow through with what we tell the contestants they're going to win.
That's another story.
I've found a couple of pageants where the scholarship, they said the scholarship, you're gonna get, I don't know, $5,000 and the winner gets $1,000. You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing that to people ourselves?
It's the buy-in.
And it gives us such a bad name.
It's the whole buy-in.
Yeah, I don't see the point of pageants. I don't see the point of pageants in the South Pacific or in America.
Educational, like I like bringing it, like Fafa being pageants. They no bars. They just go for it. Our pageants are. I don't get it either.
I don't know. But for our girls, like it's just not something people are motivated to participate in. So I don't know why we have it. And the only thing I can think about is the raising of money, because you pay $500 to $600 for the table in the front, and your tickets, all of that stuff brings in revenue. And then I suspect that because we participate in a very westernized system around the world, that they want a Miss to represent them on the global stage. But with Samoa, it's different because we have an American Samoa selected by American Samoans in the island, but then they have an American Samoa crowned or saying they're representing American Samoa in the States. So it's just like, okay, so now you're taking away the voice of the people who are actually on island. And you're just gonna put on a sash and say you're representing an island you may not even have visited. So it's a big struggle. But if pageants are to continue, I say we just do them better and do them well
and be better and do what you're actually going to gifts and support. I think Miss Helala 2018, she got no support from the committee, and the cyberbullying, and people were calling her ugly, like who was that this week, Miss Pacific or the Papua New Guinea.
They called her ugly.
They were calling it
someone
somebody from the VIP table.
They shouted out, "Oh, you're black, you're ugly, and you're black and ugly, disgusting," is what they said. But my concern is, why was that person so comfortable to say that out loud?
Right, and not just out loud. Like I want to make sure I'm heard. And the pageant coordinator was right there and didn't shut it down. So the pageant coordinator took a lot of heat. There's no way you didn't hear that, and you didn't say anything. So by not saying anything, you're condoning it because
Right.
you're the official, you're the authority in the room, and somebody can say that and you don't say, hey, you don't address it at all, then for what I see that's okay to say.
It took one of the contestants. She got up to answer a question, and she was given a question, but before she answered it, she said, I would like to take this time to apologize to Miss Pacific.
Good for her.
And then she said, because of my value from the LDS church, the most loving thing you can ever do is correct someone, or true love comes from correction. And she said, we need to do better. And I was like, oh
my
great.
God, I love her.
But why are we putting the pressure of correcting people
On her?
on the contestants?
All the classes on stage.
Call it out,
The
right?
classes
Right.
on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was as beautiful inside and out. And I really wish I remember her name, but I saw her video. She corrected the whole crowd.
Oh, I'm gonna go look for that.
Yeah, she was just amazing
And
grace.
they, what I did hear was the Papua New Guinea, the young lady handled it very, with class, and was very humble, and just didn't even give him
The time of day. Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but I love that the other contestants said something. But
Well, that's the way that's how classy it was. The person doesn't address it, right? And then the next contestant does. The contestants couldn't handle that any better.
Yeah.
And that I don't give you the time of day and address it, and then the next contestant comes up and calls it out. Good job.
And she did a response video. She said she didn't, Miss Leonisha Kariha. She said, I'm not going to let one nasty comment ruin the relationship Papua New Guinea and Tonga have.
yes,
And I was just like, that's perfect.
perfect.
But if that was my fat ass, I
If
would
that's why I don't run for those things, because I'd have jumped off that stage. But going back to the point of why were you so comfortable to say that?
Yeah.
Like, what gave him or her? I don't know. Was it a man or a woman that?
That's it.
just
But
was VIP
why? Like, what gave you, like, you thought that you could say that so freely and not think nobody would say anything
Because
to you?
it's that old, my mom was born in Papua New Guinea, and she never wanted people to know that because of the Papua New Guinea, right? It made her lesser than Samoan.
Wow.
She would always tell me, I'm from Vaikomi, and I go, but Mom, you were born in Papua
Hello,
New Guinea.
PNG.
Yes, yes.
It was of that generation, right? She was always mocked, "Menga kinky, I know. That's why your hair's so kinky. You from Papua New Guinea." And I think this person who yelled that out came from that old mindset that, beauty is beauty, right?
Yeah.
And to that person, they were offended by what beauty is, right? And that's Miss Papua New Guinea. So if it was a man or a woman who had said that comment, obviously it's an old school thought.
Well, yeah.
Shame on you, though.
A lot of it is an old school thought, but it's permeated our culture severely.
And it's surprising that it's like 2019 and bitches like that can say shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
that's crazy. That is a really good point. That it's one thing for the person to say it. It's another thing for the person to not even say it under their breath.
Right.
Like, no,
Right.
I'm everybody's going to
Blatantly.
hear me. Like, why do you feel like that's pretty wild in today's day and age that you feel like I'm not only going to say a racially based comment, I'm going to say it in an event at a VIP table loud enough so I want everybody
well, that's
to
like
hear.
The KKK, right? Like they can say whatever they want to say, and we've just brought it to the South Pacific. Like you can just verbally abuse somebody like that.
Well, colorism has been in our region since we've been colonized.
Right.
I know it happened in Samoa. Before the Mao, the Europeans took over Samoa, and then they started creating differences between
Right.
Between
people.
us, yes.
So people who were European and Samoan blood, which were the true Afakasis. Afakasis only
White.
refer to European descendant Samoans, and then full-blooded Samoans, and they gave privileges to those who were half
Exactly.
caste.
Yes.
And so that created the whole I want to be known to be lighter. And then with Tonga, that's a fully
That's full
colonized,
on, yeah.
island as
Mindset.
well.
Yeah.
Right.
They really.
So there's a lot of issue with color. The moment that Miss PNG won Miss Pacific, I was watching the feed on the live feed to the pageant, and all of the most disrespectful things came out.
Wow.
Oh, she's ugly. Oh, she's
my
black.
God.
Da, 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 da. And I was just sitting here like, okay, but do you know that she looked like your ancestors a couple generations
Hello.
ago?
Hello.
Like, so it's a lot of people who subscribe to those thoughts don't really know that
history.
they are.
Yeah.
That's what you truly.
Yeah, so we really do have issues when it comes to color. We really do treat each other differently based on that. And even our lighter brothers and sisters, they feel that way too. Because they're not dark enough, that they're not island enough, or whatever island they come from. Like, so it's a spectrum, but for darker skinned islanders, it's just they're not considered beautiful. All of our advertisements feature someone who is lighter skin or more Europeanized, straight hair, long straight hair. Like, there was nobody, you would not see anybody like me representing American Samoa or Samoa in the advertisements. You wouldn't. You would want that nice lighter skinned person with straighter hair who's thinner.
Right.
Even though we battle with obesity.
Okay, that's what we're known for. We're like 6'3".
Like, we're known for that, right?
We're known to be
so
big
gentle,
people.
but damn, y'all big.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's that sugar.
It's that
All that sugar.
all that sugar.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're known for, being big, healthy people. And then all our advertisement, you're right, is these tiny petite women where I don't know where they came from. Exactly. So
it's crazy.
It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Where do you record your podcast?
I do my podcast on my own. So
Awesome.
I had to learn how to, pick the right mic.
Oh,
and
my God.
produce
Good
and
for
all of
you.
those things. So I'm very much a do-it-yourselfer. So I sew my own clothes, and then I also record my own podcasts and things. But yeah,
It's a renaissance.
I love
lady.
I had to learn.
Yeah.
It's good to learn.
Well, we're learning too. Like the YouTube thing is new for us, so we're just. It's really
wonderful.
Carl
Plugging and
that's
unplugging.
learning.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
awesome.
Carl that does all the. He's awesome. He studies really. I mean, he's like takes hours and hours and hours. I just
A lot of
show up.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
A lot of and then don't like that one, and I found that I can watch a video that's not in 1080i, it's not really clear, if I can hear what the person's saying. It can be high def 4K, and if I can't hear what the person's saying, I'm going to the next video.
Right.
So audio, especially the podcast, is so important that the sound has to be good.
Yeah, I'm playing with sound a lot. I'm knowing, little techniques. I am a graduate of the University of YouTube as well. So.
Well, your show sounds amazing. We've
is,
listened to it
yes.
several times, and
okay.
the sound is awesome.
The first couple episodes, that was done by another person because I was just like scared to.
Right.
And then the last couple ones, I just turned up the volume on all of them and I just recorded. So
There's a
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love like true crime podcasts, and there's a podcast that I subscribe to called Case File, and it has a guy with an Australian accent that narrates it, and he's got like millions of downloads, millions and millions. He's one of the biggest podcasts out there.
God.
If you go back and you listen to his first episodes, it's like horrible sound, and you can see where he just decided, I'm going to do a show, and the audio got better and better, and you can tell it. At some point he has a produced show, but in the beginning, I mean, he was just like everybody else, starting out with. You could tell it's like I need a mic, I need some kind of editing software, and I'm going. And to hear the echo and stuff in the first one, if it still were there, then I would be like, why didn't you get anything fixed? But it's almost just nice to see, like, wow, he just started, as who knows what kind of microphone, what kind of editing software, but he's just decided, I'm going to do it and make it happen, and then things got better after. But good for you, just diving in. That's how we started. Watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos, try to pick their own.
Do you do any music
Yes.
recording?
I have not gotten into the music thing yet.
You should.
As of yet.
Man, really?
No, I mean, I just sing in church, but
Yeah.
I really do want to sing, but I don't know who to work with out here.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard. Like, I have dozens of written songs,
Oh my goodness.
and like I play the oud and a little bit of piano.
Yeah.
Like, barely.
Yeah.
But I just don't
Everybody
know.
who says that plays piano
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Everybody who says
Really
I
well.
barely play the piano, I listen to
Yeah.
No, this is struggle. I play the piano like the drums. Like, I'm just banging on things. But I just don't know who to work with. Like I don't want, when I first started out in music, I wanted to be part of the poly scene, sing all the reggae music and do all those things.
Yeah.
But now it's just like I just want to do jazz.
I was
just,
gonna say
I
that
was
jazz.
gonna
Yeah.
say.
yeah, I
is
just want to
so-
do jazz. I just want to, be really like singer-songwriter in
Yeah.
a coffee shop type person.
We need more Samoan jazzy
Yeah.
type of
So-
voices instead of the whole reggae.
We were kind of doing a sound check before you got here, and I wanted to make sure that the song played and everything, and I played it. And so we played like the first, I don't know, minute or so
Yeah.
of your song just to make sure, the sound was
working.
good. And I turned it off, and Neil was like, "Hey, what? Don't turn it back on." I said, "That's our song. We're gonna play that at break." And he's like, "Really?" So no,
Yeah,
you got it. That
awesome.
people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. It was just on a whim. Like I was just listening to a song and I was just like, oh yeah, I could put
Is that
words
the
to
only
that.
one you have out? Because I went to go after we heard that song. I started trying to
Yeah.
Google you to see if
It
there was
never
any other
really out.
sounds.
It was just it was just Cepha was like, hey, post this. But like I don't really put music out like that. So
Oh,
Thousands
you
of
need to.
listens.
You
So-
need to.
Thousands.
I
Because
just
when I listen to PI artists, I tend to always go to New Zealand, right? Because
Right.
that's where it's at.
that's
Yeah.
our
We-
Hollywood.
Right. We
know,
don't have
it
that
is.
here in California or even in Samoa. But you gotta go to New Zealand to listen to alternative type of sounds
Right.
that we should be putting out here. Damn, we're California. Well, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
I feel like New Zealand is just way more international than we
Yeah.
are.
they
And
are.
they're so
More.
good at exploring different avenues and supporting them.
Yes.
It's a Polynesian country.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have the I don't know. It has the big university. It's got the huge city. I don't know. More Polynesians live in the city that has the most Polynesians in is Auckland.
Yeah,
Mm.
More Samoans in Auckland than any other city.
I'm moving.
They are. They're way ahead. They're much
Yeah.
more progressive
It's
than
awesome.
the
It's
rest
beautiful.
of Polynesia.
It's beautiful.
And
Do
their
you-
sounds are
Do you
cool.
have your uke here?
Oh, I almost brought it, but I didn't.
Well, we just happen to have
I was like, oh, look at you wanting me to bring an instrument. No,
Hey,
I'll just leave it.
That's a great point. We're gonna put one in here.
Yes. Next time you come back, you have to
Yeah.
bring your uke. You
Oh,
have to sing a
man.
song.
That's
You have to
gonna
say,
be
I
so
love
beautiful.
your voice. We listened to it, and I was Googling or trying to go on SoundCloud to look for more songs, and I was like,
No.
is it just one?
If you
should.
go to YouTube and look up AfroTeine, there's me playing my uke and
yeah,
just
yeah.
singing. But like, I don't record very often. I hate my voice.
No.
I hate
I think most people who do sing and who do sing well don't like their voice.
So do you not
Oh my
like it
God.
while you're singing, or do you not like hearing it after?
I
it's
don't like
recorded?
hearing it.
Wow.
I
that's-
don't like
yeah.
hearing it.
Because I know I have
Yeah.
some friends that sing, and they don't like when they sing. They don't like the way they sound when they're singing. But when they hear themselves recorded, like the finished product, they like it.
No, I'm
You
the
don't
other
like
way
either
around.
one.
No. I like it when I'm singing. I feel it, so I'm
Yeah.
just singing, right? But when I hear a playback, I'm just like, ew.
Yeah.
Why?
Mm.
No.
Why? But then I'm just very overly critical of myself anyway, so that I need to calm down with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
should.
do.
Because
You do. Yeah.
Because when I was doing my podcast, I was like, oh my God, okay, we need to edit this out. We need to do all of these things. It took me like ages to get out the first episode because I was just being so overly critical.
Yeah.
And then Bex, who
I
the
love
For the
Bex,
Culture is their
yes.
podcast, she was like, just put it out. Like,
Yeah.
stop waiting. Like,
Yeah.
just do it and
Just
you'll
do it.
get better and better. And that was the best advice I could ever have gotten.
Yes, we
And-
did that with Danny Boy too. When he came on when we were at another location, and he came on. He's like, I've been thinking about. I was like, you just got to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Jump
just do
in.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just
That's how
do
we
it.
ended up with the podcast. We went on to promote Poly by Design on the Music Box with Eli,
Nice.
and so we're halfway through the show, and we're on he's playing music, and he goes, "So when are you guys going to start do your own show?" And we're like, "What? We're trying to promote." He's like, "You guys could do your own show." Coming off of that, I mean, it was like, I don't know,
We're
a
like,
month
let's
later,
do it.
and we're just like, we don't know anything about anything, and that's probably I heard that as one of the inspirational, motivational speakers, but he was saying that when you start doing something and you feel like, oh, am I in over my head, but it's something you want to do, that's something where you're going to grow, and you
You're
need to
gonna
do
thrive.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm not sure exactly how that works, well, then you're supposed to learn it and just go. If it's something that's in your, in your wheelhouse and that you love, that's probably something you should be doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's amazing. That's amazing that like all of these projects got started just by a positive word speaking into someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big believer that life and death lives in our words.
Yeah.
And the fact that like I had Bex and Danny Boy and you guys just like speak, it's just, it creates life. But that just brings us to like what conversations are we having when it comes to our people, and are we speaking life into our people?
Yes, we always speak about when we're together and we've done a project or something. When we're done with our project, like we're just the Pride Parade. Like we just all worked on the Pride Parade. Right after the Pride Parade, we're like, let's do this. And now we're on to a new, bigger project. You can do it. Let's do it. It's just and also it's the people you hang around with, if you're around people that are going to speak life into you, and it takes a minute before you find those people I've found.
Yes, it does.
It takes a minute. So.
And that's why working in American Samoa was so hard, because not a lot of people are going to get with you in terms of like speaking life into advocacy or speaking life into protesting, speaking life into speaking truth to power. Like it's going to be very difficult because you're not going to get those supporting voices very often.
Yes.
Or they'll go to a certain extent, like, you should do this, but calm down when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And we can't be selective when it comes to that.
Especially when you're feeling that from the core of your soul and you have people coming at you like, oh, hey, calm down.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait.
What's dangerous when you do that, when you're going for something that you're passionate about and you feel, and you start with that, well, let's just you're starting to limit what you're willing to receive. And the universe is going to say the universe is only going to know that you're limiting yourself, that you're turning off certain channels to receive, and it may be the channel that you want.
Exactly.
So just be, that's so important to speak it and believe in it and work your ass off for it, and things start happening. But I think it's that piece of, go for it, but don't get your hopes up, because you could be disappointed. You get disappointed, and it's stuff that you're passionate about, and you're going to pick yourself up and go after it again. But, it's like, I think being successful at anything has more to do with how you deal with failure than how you deal with success.
Exactly.
Because you're going to fail a whole bunch to get to some place that you want to be, to have things that you want, to, have the relationship with your spouse or with God, or have business that you want to have. All those things are going to come with a whole bunch of failure. And how do you deal with that? Do you just, live in it and dwell in it, marinate in it, and never get out of it? Or do you brush it off and pick yourself up and go? That's hard to do, though.
Yeah.
Fail and move forward. Success is easy. You can deal with success. That's easy to deal with. But, man, not getting something that you want, that's disappointing. It's failure. How do you deal with that?
Well, you surround, like Naki was saying also, you surround yourself with those type of people. You don't want to have a bunch of negative people telling you, you can't do it. That's why I surround myself with y'all, because it's, we always speak on the positive things that could happen. Even if it sounds really ridiculous, we're going to do something about it. And,
right. Phil Alapati said something when he was the first time he was on our show, about how the support may not come from the people that you think it comes from. And not that like your family and your current circle and your loved ones are going to hate on you, but it may be like real hesitant support. Like,
it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, like
It's fear
I hope you do well, but when it don't work out, I'll be here for those kind of backhanded kind of things. And he had talked about how the support that he got came from not necessarily the people that he expected it from, but he got it because he went out and was looking for it. But if it was easy, everybody do it.
That's
true.
So
what are some of the projects you got in the wings, like Fashionita?
Tell us about that.
I love that. Your colors, the patterns, things I've seen you in. You said you're a big girl. You ain't afraid to show the color.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm not. I love to be seen, so I like to create my own fashions. I only did that because when I was living on the island, everyone was wearing the same striped shirt, the same type of jeans, the same flip flop.
Everybody goes to the same 5 stores.
And if 20 big people come before you come, you don't have no sizes.
Right.
But we had such beautiful fabric and textile art. So I just was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of fabrics and I'm just gonna sew my own clothes. And I was sewing it in a way that fit my body. Because when I went to the Pulatasi shops, they would sew me into a box, and I was like, okay.
I could give you a story
That's
about
not
that.
what I asked for.
Sorry. And the lady was like, oh, you want to show your body? I was like, yes. I want to show my body, please.
All of it.
No, but it was just like you would literally come out looking like 2 squares. And I was just like, man, I can't do this. This is not
I needed
working. So I went to YouTube University, learned how to sew online.
Wow.
Just bought a sewing machine and was like, okay, well, I'm done. I'm just gonna learn how to do my own clothes. And then I started out with bags. So I still do bags.
Oh yay.
Yeah. So
do you sell them?
I do here and there.
Okay.
I'm the worst business person.
I love bags.
I'm the worst, but I give them away. I'm like,
no.
See, that's what we do, though. I know.
I was raised that way. So my uncles and my dad, they raised me to be like, if you're gonna do something for someone, just do it for them. You don't have to. Like my uncle is my uncle Mango is a great mechanic. He could fix probably any car. Just watch something once and fix it. He never charges people for it.
God.
He never does. People just drive up with their car and be like, oh, so like there's something wrong with my car. You'll get under the hood, the next day it's good. And I'm just like, and then when people try to slide him money, he'll just bat it away and be like,
oh, he's so blessed.
Like people will have to throw that money. And even for my dad, like my dad would be like, if you tutor a kid, just tutor the kid. You don't charge them nothing. Like it all comes back.
It comes back.
It does. Seriously, it does come back.
But we need to support our poly artists,
our
educators,
entrepreneurs.
Like, it does take a toll. Like even if they say don't, just do it anyways.
I hear you. I love that.
We had that happen. We were at in Salt Lake City. We were in Fred Frost's, I think it was in Fred Frost's studio, and he was trying to give us T-shirts, and we're like, no, you're selling, because they're for sale. They're in a showcase, and they're like $20 a T-shirt. And he's like pulling.
Here.
Yeah, he's pulling T-shirts out. He's like, here's one, and this is the wrong size. Give this to somebody else. And we're like, okay. And then he was like, no, don't, just take them. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll just take them. Hey, but we're gonna make a donation to Fred Frost. So we ended up giving him money that way. But it's that thing, like Paulie's like, you just give it, you give.
Right.
With your fashion and. Would you ever consider doing a line, like for, say, an event?
I would want to do a plus size line. I want all my girls and boys to be plus size.
Okay, so we're going to talk after the podcast.
Oh my God.
But here, please know that I've only sewn for myself. A lot of people ask me to sew for other people. I say no, because you're beholden to their opinion.
Right.
If I miss a stitch or whatever, but I'm wearing it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
That's
but I'm really big on, I would never give someone something that I wouldn't wear myself. So I'm now beholden to like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, it's too long. Or it's too short. You literally become their personal stylist after that.
You would have all the creativeness. Just give us 15 minutes to do a line, say at an event, and then be your line. You got a few months, right?
Yes.
We
have to talk after.
Wait, right? I work, y'all.
Yes.
I got a 9 to 5.
It could be 4 or 5 pieces. It doesn't have to be a whole runway. Let's do a whole thing, but I think that would be great, especially for plus size women and plus size men. I've been down to shop in the women's rack sometimes. Because
why not?
Right? That's right.
We'll talk after the show. I think that'd be such a great show.
Right? Good idea.
Yes.
She's like, what I get into when I came in here.
So what are some of the favorite pieces, like for yourself? Like what are some of the favorite cuts? Do you like to show more of your shoulders, or just accentuate, you know.
I love off shoulder tops,
Me
but then
too.
I love the classic 50s like circle skirt look
Oh,
because
yeah,
that
yeah.
flatters everyone. Like if you go back into like the 50s cut of clothes,
Yeah.
it was a lot more tailored to everyone's body,
Body.
Yeah.
so it made everyone look good. Just like a pulatasi, if it's
Yeah.
made for you, everyone looks good in a pulatasi and a Faika and a shirt
Yeah.
if it's
Oh,
made
man.
For
for
you,
you.
yes.
So this whole
Yes.
buying off the rack and looking like a tightly wrapped sausage, it doesn't work for me.
For me either.
Because it's just like it's not made for your body. But I love those classic silhouettes of circle skirts, skater skirts, and just, you know, tops or what is it, crop tops and like 2 pieces and
Right.
things like that. Just
Oh yes.
yeah,
I
like
can see it.
and like cocktail dresses.
Oh.
You know, I have a lot of old pictures of Samoan women who dressed like that back in the 60s, late 50s, and they look so just well put together. And
Yes.
these were thick
Yeah.
Samoan women. And you're just like, damn, why don't they dress like that now? You know, now it's just a ear and a top and let's go shopping.
It's too hot for all that.
Yes.
Well, here in
get
America, and I'm
lazy.
talking about like my aunts who used to go to the Fairmont, right? They would wear these beautiful, just very well tailored, and you know, my uncles were all in like thin ties, you know.
Oh, I love that look.
And I posted, and people are like, "Oh my God, there's Samoan." It's like, yeah, you know, they used to dress a little different back then, but the zoo suits kind of baggy for the men, you know, the pleated pants and
I'm telling you, if Samoan men or Pacifica men in general were just to put on a suit, your life would change.
Yeah.
for real.
I think so.
Your
too.
life would change.
Yeah.
And I would be staring at you constantly.
Okay, that's another
Yeah,
show.
heard it
No, but
first.
our men look great in suits or
Yeah.
a suit and tie or even just a jean and a button-up shirt with a tie and a jacket. Like, where are you going and why aren't you
So
walking
what do you
into
think
my
of
life?
the
Right.
suit with the EFI Congo? What do you think? About
I mean, that's
that
good
look?
too.
Yeah?
That's a traditional
Traditional,
business look
yeah.
for
Yeah, that does
Samoa.
it for me.
I love when they're wearing a safari, like the matching top and
Yeah.
bottom.
Oh, nice.
It's so good. It's so
I
good.
love that look.
But I wish our men would explore more of their fashion side. I think they just throw it to the women like, you could do whatever you want with your
Yeah.
hair and your clothes. But like our men are beautiful, both big and
Yes,
small,
yes.
short and tall.
Well, thank you.
If they-
Faika fashion show coming.
Right. There you go.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Never talked to her.
Yes.
But yeah, I would encourage all of our Pacifica men to explore their fashion sense and get into don't default to just the basketball shorts and shirt
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, what's up with
or
that?
the sweats and the t-shirt. Like your body is beautiful. Like
Yes.
let us see who you are on the inside, on the outside. Like not even the girls do that too. A lot of girls do the basketball shorts and the t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's like your pajamas and you get up and you go out and
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen
It's a-
that.
I've seen that in the
I
airport.
see that all the
I
time.
travel a lot. I see airports where people come. I'm like, wow, that's not like a pajama look. That's like you were in bed an hour ago.
Go
Right.
and ran
Right.
to the airport.
I mean, for the airport, I'll be more relaxed. 'Cause
Me too.
sometimes if
I have
you're-
to be comfortable.
Yeah, traveling for hours.
Mhm.
But when I get off the plane, you'll think I went to a salon. I'm like, I'll change
do you
it.
like
Yes.
neon bright
Oh, very
colors?
good.
Are those something that you?
Yeah.
These are all things that larger people don't like bright colors.
Bright
and-
colors,
love it.
stripes, loud patterns, everything.
I love
Everything
it.
they say that you cannot wear, I try to wear
That's awesome.
Me
because
too.
it's just why are we limiting ourselves? If we don't limit ourselves in terms of like our personalities and our sexualities and things like that, why are we limiting our clothes? Like we shouldn't.
That is so good and so true. Do you have other projects coming up that you're working on besides your fashions, your creativity through your clothes that we're going to totally take advantage of you on that? But
I'm not the best. I also have been thinking about writing stories, just like new fairy tales for our kids.
Oh, I love that.
I on accident I wrote a story in one of my Facebook comments where it says, "Hey guys, I want to start a story with you guys."
I seen
Once
that.
upon a time.
Yeah.
Well, under the Neil Pilcher one, you'll see
Uh-huh.
a whole story, and it's on a girl who could not see, who had to weave the most impossibly beautiful fala or ie for a Matai who was coming and looking for one. And if he didn't find one, he'd burn your house down.
Oh, dang.
And so she's being helped by a talking turtle named Titi, who happens to be like a goddess.
Yeah.
And the girl has 3 nights to weave. And each night she's weaving, a different animal on the island is coming to help her.
Oh, wow.
Because her grandparents are master weavers, but they don't believe the girl. They're like, oh, my poor granddaughter, she's been working in the sun too long. She's talking to turtles.
Yeah.
What Matai?
Yeah.
You know? And then they see a puff of smoke in the air, and they're like, oh, no, it's not a house burning. It's just someone burning leaves in their yard. Or it's someone making a umu. Don't, you know?
Yeah.
So it gives you a little, you know,
Nice.
just little things that goes on the island, but
Yeah.
then also the struggle between like older folks not
Yeah.
believing younger
New
folks,
folks,
and our
yeah.
connection to nature. And
Oh,
So it's just-
get that started.
I mean, it's just, yeah. And I don't know. We need new stories.
yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, Cena and the eels kind of like, you know, we've heard that.
It's sashimi now.
It's sashimi.
Yeah, right? We do need new stories. However, we were in Waikomi and we saw the turtle and the shark. That
We
was
did.
something kind of amazing. You
Right.
know, we were all like, and it was so funny because one of our people that were with us goes, there it goes. We're not supposed to point.
Over.
Over there.
And she feels like you can wave, so people wave.
Yeah, it was amazing just that whole experience.
was.
Especially with Zach. Zach was amazing.
It was nice that it was the legend of the village, right?
Yeah.
And then we get out there and, you know, it needs to be somebody from the village.
Who has to
They
sing
need
the
to sing the song at the bus.
And
Don't
even
point.
You know, you're always going to see that, but you know, it's just the whole
Yeah.
belief system and our legendary,
Yeah.
you know, these myths. It was just like 2019. We're looking for a turtle and a shark.
Yeah.
So
I
new
love
stories need to be told.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to keep our legends and our myths
Right.
alive.
Yes.
We
Yes.
have to.
Yeah.
But then we also have to create new stories that are inclusive of the people that are on our islands that don't
Yeah.
get represented.
Uh-huh.
Very
So
true.
in that story that I created under Neil Pilcher, it goes over how black is a beautiful color, because the Ia ends up being black, and there's never been, you know,
I don't think there's
yeah.
ever been.
Like
Well,
a
I
black
like the fact that
fella.
you
But
said
I
she was
think that would be
blind,
beautiful,
right? Yeah, so she
though.
was blind. See, even that, you know, for me as a kid, you know, and having visual issues, that's inspiring. Like, wait, you can't see, but you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she says that in the story. She's like, but Titi, I can't weave, I cannot see. And Titi
Yeah.
says, you don't need to see.
No, you don't.
You just
To
have
weave,
you
yeah.
just have to, you know,
And feel it.
listen and
Yeah.
love, and
Yeah.
that's it. And she wove an impossibly beautiful ear, and the ear is black, and the grandparents look at her and say, oh, or looks at the Matai and says, great Matai, I'm glad you love our granddaughter's creation, but it's a black ear. And the Matai goes, I love black. Black is the color of the night sky. Black is the color of the soil where all the beauty in our island springs. So it kind of introduces kids to the fact that, like, and not everything has to be
Colorism,
like,
yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
you can find beauty in black
Yeah.
and in darkness
That's
as well.
awesome.
So it's
I
just,
love
I'm
that.
trying to do it. I'm not the best at it, but
No,
I'm
you're
just
doing
gonna
it.
No, that's awesome.
try.
You're doing it. Yeah.
I love that. I love
Do you
it.
guys have any suggestions on like people who want to start podcasting or even putting out stories? Like, do you know where they can go? Because like for me, I don't. When it comes to children's stories and things like that,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
even-
So where would they go to start
yeah,
a podcast?
sure.
Who did you guys start with?
'Cause
Well, we started with a place
FCC, yeah.
that they rent out their space, so it's a certain amount of money for 2 hours a week. If you're inclined to be a member of YouTube University, I would recommend you just do it yourself. If, like us, we had no idea about anything, like
Yeah.
we had no idea what to do, we spent the time learning how to operate the mixer board, how to book a show, you know, the microphones, all those kind of things on somebody else's equipment. So we went that route. So really that's only 2 routes that I'm familiar with, but if we had to do it over again, I think we'd still do it the same way that we
would
did
still
it.
do it the same way.
Because learning on somebody else's equipment and somebody else's studio, and you know, we've already found out that we knew a lot about podcasting, but then getting our own studio brought a whole bunch of new things to deal with that had we been just getting into it, I think it would have been really overwhelming.
overwhelming for us. And
So
you're young. You're young, and there's a lot of D-Boy and Bex. They're young too, so they pick up, the electronic stuff and computer stuff quick. Where I'm a lot older, and it takes me a minute to register. But for you to do it on your own and figure out, that's freaking
well. I'll just
amazing.
tell you this: the product, you can't tell whether that's in a studio or whether, because your audio is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
You speak well. You know what I mean? Like you conduct yourself well. There's a whole nother series of problems for people that aren't confident in speaking and aren't confident, being in front of a microphone and possibly streaming. That's a whole bunch of other things that, it's hard. You can't get that on YouTube. You can get some tips on YouTube, but there's some things that you already had because of who you are that made things, you don't have challenge that other people would have. But if you're, like I said, if you're inclined to be a member of YouTube University and you learn that well, I would say go do it yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
But if not, it's FCC free radio was, I don't know, it was like $100 a month.
Yeah. It's so easy to just, if you're passionate about it and you have a love for it, it's so easy. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out if you want to do it.
And what Poly Bud Design is not telling you is that though they went that route, they became the #1 show in that market with FCC.
Nice.
I mean, so the passion obviously paid off. The numbers paid off. They were always the #1 show, and it's a Pacific Islanders show, and it's run by
I think
Paul
that's
Islanders,
it. Is Pacific Islanders. Now there's a handful of us that we're so hungry to hear each other's stories, to know opinions and what we're doing, and we're doing the same thing. To hear people speak of us, we're listening to other people's podcasts talk of their own, and to hear now, we have a handful of podcasts now, and it's us telling our own story. We're telling our own story. Somebody else is not telling us how we're doing it.
Right.
We're telling you how we're doing it.
So I was told by experts and people, veterans of the industry, especially at the station, that a niche show is just not going to be in the top 5. It's going to be music or comedy.
Right.
I mean, those are going to be, and that traditionally those were the top shows in that market, and their entire show catalog. The top shows were comedy-ish or music, and there were some sports talk shows that didn't do really well. But I was told niche shows just aren't really the thing. Man, we were #1 from like the second month on.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and that's not to brag about us. It's to how thirsty
our people
the
are.
Pacific
Our
Islander community. They're like, wow, there's people. And Eli was there too. And then they had a Tongan family radio show was there, and then it just starts expanding. And I think that, I guess one of the biggest things I would say to PIs out there that are thinking about starting their own show, there's room for everybody. There's not like I get this vibe of, well, is there enough space for there's already Poly by Design, there's Faika, there's For the Cultures, like how much more, there's space for everybody.
Yes.
It's not a zero-sum game where it's like there's only 10 listeners and if we get 5, there's only 5 left over. There's room for everybody.
Yes, I love that. We were talking to Island Block Radio. We went to go talk to them, and they were talking about how people were like, oh, so you guys don't talk to Cisco? And he's like, that's one of my closest. He thinks we battle each other. And he's like, we're not battling each other. And I love to hear new PI podcasts, because I was like, oh my God, there's more of us. There's more. If you're not listening to us, guess what? You have an option to listen to The Real Taltala. You have an option to listen to For the Culture or Cisco. I mean, but you have choices, which is, I think that's why we were big at FCC, is because people are hungry to hear our voices and to hear our opinions. And we might not be for you, but guess what? We'll lead you. When I hear a new podcast like yours, I was like, here, you got to go here. You got to go listen. You got to. And there are people, and a few people had asked me, well, isn't that your competition? I was like, no,
it's
we're
not
not
about
competing.
the competition.
Exactly.
We're lifting each other up.
And that's one of the things we believe in that we had said from the beginning is the more people we help get what they want, the quicker we're going to get what we want.
Exactly.
So if there's, 15 other podcasts out there that we need to help promote and get people what they want. There's room for everybody.
There's room for everybody.
So I'm going to launch mine next week.
Yes. Yes.
You should.
I love that.
You should.
I'm here next week. Shut up.
Dang.
Podcasts are just, audiobooks.
Yeah.
They're just stories.
Yes.
It's like you said, when we pass on, those stories are still going to be told.
Yeah, we never look, like, say the Bible, we never say one chapter in the Bible is in competition with the other chapter.
Yes.
It's just a spectrum of stories.
Right.
Exactly.
And this is, if new podcasters come up, you don't have any competition. The only competition you have is yourself and the quality of your product. That's the only thing you're competing against. But look up in the sky and you see how wide the sky is.
Exactly.
How vast the sky is. That's how much space there is for your story. And like, don't hide your story. Don't think that because you don't tell it well, get it into the hands of someone who can tell it well. But it's just, I want more people to speak out and just be,
Yeah.
And even if you do, even our podcast, we both have podcasts, we both subscribe to PI people, but they're different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Different
it's just like,
audiences.
so how can you compare, podcasts?
Yes.
It's just like a lovely, it's like a podcast. I love it.
I
I
love
listen
it
to
too.
everyone, yours,
Yeah.
for the cultures. And
I love Bex and Danny Boy.
I love their topics are awesome.
Yeah, and they're crazy. They got crazy topics.
Yeah, they do. I've been on a couple.
I know they have crazy topics, and I seen Danny Boy on Friday. He's like, "Oh, we got to get you on." I was like, "I'm ready because I got nasty questions for you. I got questions for you.
Would you rather?
Would you rather?" But yeah, so I'm waiting. I can't wait to get the would you rather.
Shout out for the cultures, D-Boy Bex.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah. They're awesome. So our hour is up. Is there anything that you are want to shout out? And, first of all, when you were growing up and coming up, was there anyone that you looked at that helped you, was your role model that you want to shout out and that has helped you get to where you are now, whether little or words or...
That's hard.
Yeah, I know.
Because that's like everybody.
I know.
Like it really does take a village.
To raise a child.
Does. And even my parents, when when they were trying to teach me lessons when I was younger, and I was fali and didn't like them, those lessons I draw from now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's hard to both enemies and friends. Like my life is a sum of
your experiences.
Their
right?
experiences. Interacting with them. So I just want to shout out life. I guess everybody.
I just wanted to point out because I love the words that you speak, and especially that video, the very first video that I seen, where I was like, oh my God, I was coming to terms with being sexually abused, and Nani Wilson had asked me to speak at Journey to Empower. No, she didn't ask me. She was digging. You should speak. And I said, I can't. And now I know that you have to speak on it and learn how to heal. And so I had watched your video and just all your words came just stuck to my face. And so it gave me the strength, and just everything that you said was so perfect. And it helped me to speak on it. And so I went to Journey to Empowerment. I don't know why I'm crying. I went to Journey to Empowerment and spoke, but your video, I've saved it from 3, 4, 5, I think it's 4 or 5 years ago. It's in my videos that I say, and I watch it every so often to remind me of the words that I need to speak on. And I don't even want the camera on me. It reminds me of the words that I need to keep speaking about, because it just takes you never know that the words that you speak, that you're saving a life. Yeah. Even though, and we speak about this all the time, the words and you going live on Facebook and Instagram or wherever you're going live. I caught you on Facebook, but you never know the lives that you save, because they'll never tell you. But know that I'm not the only one. I'm sure there are tons of people that just haven't told you that, girl, if it wasn't for you saying that, I would not be here today. You know what I mean? Like, so thank you for what you do. Some stuff are so wild and crazy that you speak of. I'm like, yes, I would never say it. But that video itself, that was for me. I think that video was for me, but it saved my soul. So thank you. Oh my gosh.
Becky, I'm crying.
Oh my gosh. So if people want to get a hold of you, how can they reach out to you? You're on social media. How can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AfroTeine. You can find me on Facebook at Dacia, Dacia, AfroTeine Speaks. Instagram is AfroTeine. So look up my Snapchat, AfroTeine, reach out. I usually respond to everyone that hits me up on Facebook. So if you just send me a message, I'll respond. I'm not one of those people who are like, who's that?
Yeah.
So I'll honor your words and speak to you and add you. I had a lot of people like share their stories after the video, share their stories with me. It was like 200 to 300 people in instant message, and I had to go through every message and just honor
awesome.
that. So I thank you for trusting me with your vulnerability and your story.
Thank you.
Like just even you tearing up it takes a lot. Not everybody can do that. So like I'm just honored to if it just reaches one person, it's enough.
Yes, exactly.
And that goes back to what he said about success. Like you have to define what success is. And you can't define it based on numbers. Sometimes you have to define it on the impact you make on one person's life.
Right.
And if you can reach just one person, then that's enough.
Yes.
That's enough.
Yes.
And so I just, if you hear me and you hear my podcast or just see anything I post on Facebook, if it's wild or crazy, just know it's with a purpose.
Yes.
And it's reaching someone. It may not reach you, but it's reaching
somebody. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming down this morning. It's definitely not the last time, because we're going to harass you for you to come on with your uke and sing some songs. And fashion. So thank you so much. God bless your journey. And thank you so much for everything that you do, especially for all of us that are watching you and taking your words in. Thank you, Neo, too, honey boyfriend. Thank you so much. That's it for us, Carl. Thank you so much. We're here every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Thank you, AfroTeine. Please go SoundCloud, The Real Totella. Thank you so much. Come back to Faika with us.
Good.
Yes.